Hey guys, ILene Vick here for Teaching Adult Coloring with ILene Vick. It is Thursday, July 1st at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and I am live. So glad to be here, guys. Welcome to my Facebook group and my buds who come in and chat and talk and laugh, and we have a good time. And welcome to my Facebook buds who lurk and watch and learn. Don't be shy about chatting. We love ya. And welcome to my YouTube peeps who watch this when it goes to video when I upload it to YouTube. So yeah, there's lots of ways to watch, guys. And don't forget that this goes to video on Facebook as well. Alrighty. Hey Rhonda, how are you? How's it going, Rhonda? Let me know how my sound is, please. All right. Pearly's here. Good to see ya. Ready to color and 6 and clear. Thank you, Pearl. Okay. I am so ready to color, I'll tell you. I even got my desk clean, I'll tell you. I did. It blew up on me, which it does every once in a while. Hi, Mary. Good to see Miss Mary. All right, let me get my light adjusted. So no announcements today and no contests. Hi, Ashley. Ashley always waves at me when she comes in. We don't have too much more to go on this, guys. Oh, Mary said you ordered that fall book today. Guys, $365 or $356. I saw that book. I thought, you know, $3, $350. So I thought that would be great. Okay. Rhonda got it. Good. And Rhonda, thank you so much on behalf of the group for the gift certificate to Amazon. Oh, it'll be there the 8th. Okay. Rhonda sent us a $25 gift certificate to Amazon, and I would like to thank her for that. Thank you, Rhonda. You know I'll get something fun with it. Fun, fun, fun. Zoom out. All right. So I am continuing with Vintage Classic Coloring Pages. We just got a few more things to go. And then I'll pick a new project. I will. So tell me something fun that you guys had today. And if anyone needs prayer, let us know. Okay, so I finished. I did the other side of the green so you guys can get a really good balance of how this little puppy looks. I think it's turning out beautifully. I like it. If I didn't, I would tell you. All right, let's see what we got. All right, let's see here. Oh, Mary says she won't be on for a few days because of going to the cabin, no internet or cell service. Okay, thank you for letting us know. When will you be off the grid, Mary? La, da, da, dum. Ashley says she found a lightning deal on Amazon for a $29.99 Arteza caddy and a pack of Arteza Black fine liners with a coupon. So her order was $1.37. Oh my gosh. You go, girl. Mary says tomorrow morning. Okay. So basically Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Mary. All right. I always appreciate it when you guys tell us when you're going to be off the grid for a while or not here, because you guys know for a fact that we wonder about you. That's the kind of group we are. I'm so proud of you guys. All right, let me back fold this. Rita. Hi, Rita. Okay, just testing out a pencil there. Rita, always good to see you. It is pouring rain here in Cookville. It is muggy like you wouldn't believe. Zoom in. Okay. So if you have something positive that you care to share, we'd love to hear it. If you have something not so positive to share that you want us to know, because that's what we do here. Okay. Rita says, always good to see you. Today, no rain. We even had sun. Beautiful. Okay, so I etched this tree. And you can see how that's coming out. Hi, Maddie. Mary said her husband ordered her the 120 Ohuhu markers. Wow. Amy says she's got time to check in and color, been super busy with work and life. Well, my good news today is I took Vicki back to the vet. Yes, Maddie, we can have a marker fest. This is a scheduled visit because they still had to figure out why her ear puffed up. Her, you know, the flap of her ear. I think I told you about that. And she tends to get little nodules of stuff on her body, so I'm figuring, So they took her back, and it was a blood hematoma, I think I'm saying that right. And they basically popped it, drained it, no biggie. Her ear is back to normal, and they didn't charge me for the visit. So that's my positive news for the day. So that's good stuff. Zoom out. Oh, Mary says her husband has seen me using the markers and you didn't have them. Oh, Mary, how sweet. All right, Mary, call out his name to everybody so we can all thank him. Zoom out. No kidding, Pearl. Mary says, I like your husband's style. He's a keeper. Put a name to him, Mary, so everybody that doesn't know can see him. Amy's still working on the Circle of Life book. All right, now, I'm keeping everything in the background. How did the VA visit go? Thank you, Ben. Ben is the man. So Ben, if you can hear this, thank you. Okay, so I used my marker. I used my knife to get the etching. Zoom in. Zoom in. Now Ben, don't get too big of a head. Oh my. You're the best, Ben. Oh, she says that he buys most of my books and supplies. Wow. Amy says my dad's sister-in-law supports my coloring hobby, and she keeps adding stuff to her Amazon wish list. We got a great group. Okay, so I'm going through and I'm highlighting the different aspects of my tree. The kids all think he spoils me, says Mary. Then you say, darn right. And you know what, Mary? What a great role model for the kids to see. Right? Men may not be that interested in adult coloring or whatever a woman might be interested in, but boy, when he supports her anyway, how cool is that? Okay, zoom out. Zoom out. So I'm letting the marker and the pencil give the spotty look to the tree. And remember, guys, that this is the tree that I went ahead and continued outward. So Mary says, I told them we spent all of our money on them when they were home. Yes. He colors sometimes, but now is doing diamond painting. Cool. Can Ben hear us now? Okay, now zoom out. Everybody see how I'm making that background darker? Okay, Pearl, see you in a few minutes. Anybody have any questions about what I'm doing here with this? Da-da-dum. And now I'm going to go ahead and shade in. Da-da-da-dum. I want to make sure you guys don't have a bunch of glare. Let's see if we can get that for you. Now, this is where you can add your highlights to your tree. And remember, when I've got a black or gray, or I'm shading, I'll say highlights. So don't get confused. And I'm going to put a little gray inside of this knot. Zoom in. Zoom in. Because I want to put a recess right here. So we have a dark area there. Okay. And then I'm just adding a little bit of shading here, down on the tree. And a little bit of shading on the bottom. And as I've said before, guys, trees are very forgiving. Zoom out. Zoom out. So there's not too much you can do to mess them up, but you gotta, you just gotta be careful. And if you need ideas for shading stuff on trees, check out Google. Okay, now see this curve right here? I'm going to just put a little shade of a line here, and that's going to make this portion of this tree stick out. You see how that's happening? So there's lots of ways that you can play with this stuff. Have fun. Zoom out. Okay. Hey, Melba. Happy Thursday. Okay, now I'm going to tone down this tree a little bit. A little brighter than I want. So I've got my gray. Melba, how is your daughter? You know that's the first thing I'm going to ask you about. Melba, is it your birthday? Did I miss your birthday? Oh. Zoom out. Okay, now notice how I'm just putting a darker tinge on this entire tree. And I'm going to bring these colors down. Because I want to darken this whole thing. And I'm using the side of my pencil. January 8th. Okay. Oh, your daughter got to go home yesterday. They told her that surgery was in her future. Okay. La, da, da. I didn't think it was your birthday, Melba, but you know, sometimes things slip by me. Okay. Okay, Pearl, good. I'm glad you're back. All right. So this tree here, same thing as the other tree. I'm going to take it a shade a little bit darker. And I want you to remember that if you feel that something you've done is a little bit darker, I'm sorry, a little lighter than what you want, then go ahead and you can adjust it. And also notice where I'm holding my pencil towards the back end of the pencil. And that's to keep all you guys that tend to be heavy-handed to come in lighter on your stuff. And notice where my branches are coming up, for example, like this one, I'm going ahead and putting a little shading underneath it. And underneath, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, and underneath the limb as well. Okay. Rhonda says she's working on some leaves and want to stick to lighter colors using wet watercolor pencils to accentuate the vines better without using too dark a color. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that for everybody. And guys, do me a favor and get in the habit of posting whatever you're working on while you're watching this this program, while you're in live. Here we go. Okay. Now, one little area here. Love it. Everybody see now just how I'm accenting the tree to look the way I want it to? And remember, you know that I always like to tinge in my area, and then I'll go back with my final shade. All right. Oh, Melba's she's working on her Prismacolor Premier Color Pencil inventory sheet. There you go. Okay, now I've got to finish up my owl. I'd put in my gold undertones here, and all that means is that I put a color underneath that I wanted to influence the later colors that I put on top. That's what that means when somebody says I'm using brown undertones, gold undertones, gray, whatever. And now I'm going back in. And rather than just having a plain brown here, I've got a brown with these undertones on it. And if anybody is new and you have any questions about that, ask please. There we go. Zoom out. Okay. Now my squirrel blends in quite a bit with my tree, which is fine, and I'm sure that squirrel is happy about that as well. Notice the little detail that I'm adding on the tail. Zoom in. Zoom in. Around the head here and the jawline to distinguish that. A little bit of the outlining of the body. And the ear. And we'll put a little bit on the haunches as well. Okay. And I've got a little light area for some reason behind on this tree. So I'm going to go ahead and darken that up a little bit. And that's going to show up that little acorn, his prize that he's holding. And I will smudge that a little bit. Zoom out. Zoom out. Zoom out. Okay, what do you guys think of this so far? Zoom out. Zoom out. Now, I've got pretty expressive trees. You can tone that down, but in this particular case, I like to show the knots and the play in the wood. You do not have to be that expressive. Okay. Zoom in. Zoom in. Let's go ahead and work on our other squirrel here. Don't forget that I etched in his fur. To get that pattern on his back. Yeah, thank you, Rhonda, and you're right. This is a dark piece, but it's vibrant. That's correct. Don't be afraid, guys, of dark themes. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of spray of color here. So I've got his back haunches darker, a line here down his tail, a little bit on his back and sides. And don't forget in this case, or these cases, to come back with your pen. Oh, let's see here. And if you've been doing a lot of coloring on a particular object, sometimes you can lose that and it gets a little mush. So we'll go ahead and color back in that eye. And this pen will lighten up in a little bit when it dries. Boy, that's a weird looking squirrel. Zoom out. Zoom out. And I'll mute him down a little bit as soon as that, when that ink dries. All right. Now, the reason I'm going through the steps on all of this is because I want you to see how this overall piece now is getting darker and darker. As I go along. Now, we've got a little squirrel in here as well. Zoom in. Zoom in. So we'll go ahead and darken that little nook in the tree. which really makes this little guy obvious. And then we'll go ahead and color him in. And yeah, it's just a small little piece, but I'm still going to go ahead and use 2 shades of brown on them. So Rhonda says, funny story about my coveted slice knife, you all. Amazon delivery yesterday and just got when my daughter came to pick you up. Assisted living receptionist handed it to me and I said, oh my knife came. Oh no. Receptionist went on alert and proceeded to tell me no weapons allowed here. You had to show her it was a crafting tool. Oh jeez. Okay, notice I'm putting in a secondary shade of brown on our squirrel. Well, if I were you, Rhonda, I wouldn't say anything about what you get. So how do they handle, like, you know, chef knives and kitchen stuff like that? Zoom out. Okay. And I'm just pulling a color now for my last tree. Sorry that I bumped. They do all the cooking. We don't have our own kitchens, and you have your own stuff. Oh. I gotcha. When you worked at McDonald's, there wasn't a knife in there. Okay, this happens to be a Prismacolor Black Raspberry, color 1095. And I'm not going to continue with that color. I don't like it. Excuse me. Sorry about that, guys. I made an oopsie. Oh, you like it? Okay. It's actually a little more red than I was anticipating. But when it says black raspberry, that ought to be the clue. Duh. It is a nice color. Yeah. I just didn't quite want that shade on this tree. And you know, guys, I'll say this again and again and again and again. You know, you say tomato, I say tomato. That one person may absolutely love a color and another person may go, eh. So you've got to stop beating yourself up on what you think is a good piece or not. Okay, notice how I'm taking my time, working my way down. You'll be able to see in a minute why I didn't really want to go with that color. Zoom out. Everybody see how I'm getting that really dark look now across the board? So my question back to you is, how many of you would have thought about a darker theme on your piece like this? And would you have carried it out? Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead with a blender pencil, basically blunt. And I'm very, very lightly going to smooth this out. going to let's see if I can speak proper English here. And look how beautifully now this color is coming out. Isn't that pretty? Zoom in. Zoom in. Oh, okay. I'm glad you like it, Pearl. Yeah, the Pearl, the red would have thrown it off. It would have looked really wonky. Okay, now I'm also going to take this brown. You see our reddish trees in the back here, which are fine, but I want that as an undertone and not as a main color. And the reason for that is because our wolf has the red eye and red mouth. And this red is distracting from it. And I don't want you to be afraid of changing the shades of something if you notice that you selected a color that is not fitting in with the rest of it. Now, this tree, or these trees, are also in the background. And that's why they're darker. There we go. And that will give you a sense of depth. So I'm going to darken this one as well. And then it will make sense. Okay. Now, my wolf ears are a little more red. And these are not corrections, guys. These are just, now I'm getting to the point where I'm adjusting my colors. And I don't ever want you to feel that when you go back and do something like this, that you're correcting a mistake. Now, sometimes you are, right? But you'll notice how I will tint in a color, meaning that I'm just using a lighter version of it, and then I'll go back and finish up whatever I need to finish up on it. That's just my style. Zoom out. Zoom out. Everybody see now how these colors are shifting. I really wish the artist hadn't put in that one squirrel, but that's okay. It is what it is. All right. Zoom in. We're going to put a little highlight on that tail. Okay, now I'm ready. We're getting pretty close on this, guys. We are. Excuse me while I put some pencils away. Okay, so this last tree that I did over here, I want to go ahead and add my shading for the edges. Everybody see why I'm doing that? That will round up that tree because your eye sees the dark as the shadow, and the shadow means it's away from you, and being away from you gives you that sense of roundness. Now again, this is pretty dark. And that's okay. I love it. Okay. And if you want to, you can go ahead and you know, don't over mess with it, but you can go ahead and even add a little more contrast to that edge. Anybody have any question about that? So we get on the very tippy toe edge here with just a little bit of coming in. And I want you to see how that's really coming together now. Carolyn, good to see you. Guys, don't be afraid of your colors, especially your darker ones, okay? Please. Carolyn, how are you? La da da dum. Okay, let's get an overall quick view. Zoom out. Zoom out. Look at that, guys. All right. Questions? Comments? And when I'm saying comments, I'm saying to you, do you see what I'm doing, and do you feel that you can do the same thing? All right. Excuse my arm. So let's go ahead and work a little bit on the bottom portion of this. Again, I'm doing a little bit of cleanup. Now, zoom in, zoom in. So I'm going to work on the face. And Rhonda, I especially would like you to watch this because you are a little light on your shading for your skin. So I'm going to put down my base color. Had to fill in a little bit of hair there. And guys, don't be afraid of your skin colors. All right. So the only other place we have this now is on her hand. No, Rhonda, well, it's a flesh tone. It's a Prismacolor Light Peach. Now, on her feet, I am going to assume, you can do differently, of course, that she's not wearing socks. Totally up to you how you want to do that, of course. Oh, you've got the Prismacolor Light Peach? Good. Okay. Now, this is where I will take about a medium brown, and this is where you want to shade in your darker skin tone. Now, Rhonda, I will use that when I lighten up over the entire piece. And when you were working on your Victorian lady, you were afraid to bring out your shading from the edge. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of shading underneath the eye. And then underneath the jaw line on her neck and down. And then lightly over everything. So, Rhonda, you had the right idea, but you didn't execute all the way through. And I've got a little too much brown coming out, so I'm going to go ahead and erase that. This is not the best piece to do skin on because it's relatively small, but that's all right. And remember, by putting that darker tone around the outside, that it's indicating depth and dimension. And then see, I don't know if you can see it, guys, let me know. But this little area right here is at the bottom of your throat. You know how you push in just before the top of the rib cage? And I'm going to go ahead and put a little line for the bone. See this? Okay. Anybody have any questions so far? So we're going to come down the hand. A little darker on the edge. And then bring that shade overall. Very, very light, guys. Now, I'm going to darken in just a little bit where the knuckles would be. And I'm coming back with my light peach just to lighten that up a little bit in some of the areas. And then down by the ankles. Little tiny bit of shadow. With my darker brown. Now it's a little harder to outline here, of course, because of the distance that I have. So I'm outlining the shoe and up a little bit around the bottom of the skirt. Zoom out. Zoom out. All right, you see how well that works? Now, whatever authenticity that you want to make your little girl will depend on how dark you go with your browns. But right now we're working basically Caucasian, okay? Doggone. Zoom in. Zoom in. And again, don't forget that little shoulder bone right there. It makes it look really cool. All right. So now I'm going to go zoom out. Zoom out. I'm going to work on these flowers. I told you we were almost there. We'll just clean these guys up a little bit. Rhonda, did that help you with that skin? I think you're a little timid on coloring skin. Zoom in. Okay, now we don't want our flowers to get lost. So I'm using the water-based marker. And remember, as we're getting towards the bottom of this piece, our colors are a little lighter and they're more cheerful. And remember, with your marker, when you go over your spot a second time, third time, fourth time, it starts giving you different shades of your color. All right. And now I'm not throwing in, but we're going to put in some yellow. Notice how the yellow and the brown work together on the tree. And then I'm going to put in a nice green shade for my stems. Now, you know me and my stems. We're going to use a couple colors. So I've got a majority of the green. And then I'm going to put in just a little bit of brown. Brownish gold. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and, okay, Pearl, see you in a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and add black centers to this. And what I like doing about that is that it gives you a really nice contrast. And it makes your pieces stand out. But you got to do it in the right places. And we are used to seeing flowers that have a black center on them. So this is not exotic. At all. Zoom out. Zoom out. Everybody see how that pops these flowers. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of a darker shade on spots to the corresponding colors on my flowers. Zoom in. Zoom in. Everybody see how that is adding to that and making it look really cool. See the difference, guys? Don't be a one-trick pony with your coloring. All right. And then on my yellow, I'm going to go ahead and put some gold. Zoom out. And if you need to smooth this out a little bit, go ahead and do that. But I mostly stayed towards the outside here when I did this. What do you think, guys? Rhonda? Okay. Let's get the other side of these flowers. Zoom in. Zoom in. Alright, so on this side, we can do some goals. This is an Arteza Expert Tucson Sun, it's called. Rebecca, hi. In and out laundry and stuff. Okay. All right, Maddie. All right. So, same type of thing here. I'm going to use my Sharpie marker because I'm doing this on wax, which is the yellow. Excuse my hand. And we'll go ahead and pop in that little center. Very, very simple. Zoom out. Oh, missed one. Zoom out. Let me give you a whole view now where we are. Isn't that beautiful, guys? Let me get my protective sheet out from there. Now, these yellow flowers, I'm not worrying about any additional gold on there because that black really gives it a nice look. Zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. And we'll just go ahead and keep everything very simple with these particular flowers. I'm not adding the brown this time. But what I will do is I'll take a darker green and just add. Now you got to be careful because we've got dark green here all around it. I'm just going to add just a little bit of the darker green here. It's not exactly the green of the bushes, but it's close. Okay? All right. Zoom out. And I need to take a little bit of water, excuse me. All right, we've got a lot of dense dark green here. So what I'm going to do now is go with a lighter green on these ferns, or on these broadleaves, excuse me. Zoom in. And the thing that you want to keep in mind here, other than me keeping you on camera, sorry, is that we've got a lot of greens competing with each other. And so we want these plants to stand out, but also be part of what we're doing. So I'm putting down my base color. I'm not too worried right now about coverage. Or should I say smoothness? Okay, Pearl, good. Glad you're back. When this goes to video, Pearl, you can catch up. You just missed where I did the flowers. Okay. And that happened to be a Fila yellowish green. And very lightly, I'm just going to go ahead and give it a very brief blend. Oop, got a little black in there. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is what's that, Pearl? You said that's what I love about your classes? So I'm going to take this green and splay it out. I'm assuming you're talking about that you can go back and catch it on replay video. Yeah, you can go back and catch up. Yep. Oh, and here I thought it was me. I'm pulling your chain, kiddo. Notice that I'm getting lighter and lighter as I go out when I splay this out. Play with it, guys. Oh, Pearl, you didn't even have to answer to that. I was just teasing you. Okay, and notice now, and then I'm taking my finger and I'm going to smudge that because I want it soft. Oh, how pretty. Zoom out. I really want you to see this now. Zoom out. Zoom out. Okay. So now I've got a nice light green for these last few bushes. Zoom in. Zoom in. Move you over just a little bit. Slightly different green than everything else. And now all of this is really starting to come together. Oh. Made my mushroom stem green. Okay, now we have, oh my gosh, guys, look at the progress we made tonight. Okay, so we have these little stumps of grass. So I'm keeping them the same color as my last grouping here. Remember, I put some of these rocks on here. For example, the one underneath her footy. Now, even on this grass, I'm going to take a darker green. I want you to see this. And I'm going to put it in there as well. Look at the difference, guys. You see the difference between this one and this one here? I want you to really work on using 2 shades of your colors when you're working on stuff. Zoom out. Zoom out. What do you think, guys, so far? Zoom out. You know, I do that once in a while as I show you my ceiling. Okay. So let's go ahead and work on some rocks, some sand, some shoes. One last thing on the wolf, and then I think we're in good shape. All right. Oop. Zoom in. Zoom in. So now we've got our rocks. Little pebbles, little rocks. Everybody comfortable with the way I'm doing this? This whole picture. Okay. Now, don't forget on our rocks, we're going to make either a forward C or a little backward C. Everybody catch how I'm doing that? And what that does, keep turning your pencils, is that gives you your dimension. And guys, I can't emphasize this enough. You wonder why, you know, I'm asking you or telling you to use multiple colors on your pieces like this. Multiple shades in one area. 2 or 3 greens in the grass. It's because the minute you start doing that, you're going to start getting your depth and dimension. So notice how by adding this little extra bit, kind of like the bubbles, just like the bubbles, it's just a different shape. Okay, now let me go ahead and get my mushroom stems, which I forgot to do. Yeah, it's not kind of like the bubbles. It's exactly like the bubbles. So a little bit of brown on my mushrooms here. And I'm going to add a little more brown, dark brown here. Oh my gosh, guys, look how this is all coming together. Zoom out. Zoom out. And while I'm thinking of it, I need to blend my cloth. Which I didn't do before. So we're looking a little rough here. Zoom out. Zoom out. Do you see how this is all coming together? Now, any areas that you need to blend up a little bit and soften up, go ahead and do that. You don't want anything that looks streaky. So if it looks streaky, fix it. You absolutely do not want streaky, guys. Soften it up. All right. Now I'm good on the leaves here. All right. Bottom area now that she's walking on. me shuffle through my pencils here a little bit. You don't want a super dark area down there. So of course all the browns I'm pulling are coming out dark. There we go. So do you guys swatch your pencils on scrap paper before you color? Zoom in. All right. Zoom in. So let's go ahead now and get our ground that she's walking on. So Rebecca says that she swatches. Maddie says I'm a random person. I pick a pencil up and go. Okay. I always swatch. And if I don't get to the bubble tutorial tonight, I will gladly do that first thing tomorrow. Okay. Now, we could have used gelatos down here. We could have used eyeshadow. Don't forget the tools that you guys have in your arsenal, okay? All right, now under the shoe, a little darker, right? Because we've got a shadow. Notice how I'm extending that downward. And again, I'm not too worried about at all the variance in the shading that I'm doing this dirt pathway. Why? Because it normally has changes in color. Right? So Maddie, when you pick up your pencil, so you don't swatch it to see, for example, what shade of brown you might have. This is a Brut Funner pencil, by the way, that I'm using it. So you said if it's too bright, you tone it down. Okay. What happens if it's the wrong shade? What do you do about that? Now, don't forget when you're coloring an open area like that, fake it till you make it. Haha. Okay, I gotcha. So if you're getting really weird patterns on your pencil, color in little circles, color in a different direction. Okay guys, whatever your style is, have at it. Okay, so let me go ahead and finish up this section. Zoom out. Okay, let's take a look at this bottom here. See how cool that looks. And this Brut Funner, by the way, is a 039 if you're interested. Let me grab some water. Okay. Now, depending on how you want your dirt path to look, I want mine smoother. So I'm going to go ahead and take my blender pencil. Oh, I'll get there, Mary. You're right, it needs color variation. And notice now how beautifully this is looking. I missed a stone. Now guys, don't go willy-nilly over this, because if you do, you'll smear your rocks. You don't want to do that. Yeah, I used to live in Ohio. Yeah, clay. Exactly. Ohio is full of clay. Oh, this looks beautiful. Zoom out. So let's take a look at this now. I'm showing this to you in stages. Zoom out. Mary says her front yard is rich dirt and the backyard is clay. Yep. Okay. So on this dirt, I'm going to do two things. Zoom in. I'm going to go ahead now and emphasize our shadows. Including the larger stones. Look how cool that looks, guys. 2 seconds of adding just a little bit of shading to your rocks. Everybody see that? Think it through, guys. Am I close enough for you guys to see this? Zoom in. Zoom in. What a difference a little shading makes. Including the grass, right? And let's not forget our area up at the top. And guys, this is why I want you to watch when I do a project like this, and I'm doing what you consider as a small thing, like doing the dirt. that you say, oh, how boring that is. No. If you want to up your coloring game, guys, you got to take care of these little details. And then I'm going to take a darker brown yet, and work on some of these stones and rocks. Off camera. But notice how I'm doing that underneath the shrubbery, and look how I'm pulling, see how I'm pulling this brown out right here? This is why when I'm doing a coloring with you, I do it to the end. Now, our steampunk cat, that was so repetitive, I didn't bother with that, and I asked you. But I wanted you to see this. And I will tell you for a fact, guys, it's these last little touches that's going to make or break your piece. Everybody see how much better this looks with these little emphasis on the stones. Excuse me. And then if you want, where the author put these little dots and stuff, you can go ahead and shade in as well. So honestly, if this is boring you, I really would think about coloring, because this is what coloring is all about, and this is what's going to make your piece stand out or just be just like the rest of them. Okay, and then I'm just going to do a little bit of smudge. All right. Zoom out. Oh, that's cool. The soil's dark and rich. 3 miles from my house, Hyponex has a huge soil place. Yeah. Dark and rich. They have other dirt. Trucks by the hundreds come from all over to get the soil to take to stores and nurseries. Yeah. Zoom out. Look at the difference, guys. All right, let me bend this back. Two more things on this and then I'm basically done. Questions, comments so far? Oh, bumped the camera. So sorry. All right. Let's do our shoes. Zoom in. So I'm going to start with a pretty dark brown. And I mean that in two contexts, meaning pretty dark, and also a pretty nice looking dark brown. So I'm going to come in now a little darker. On this, I'm going to use my blender pencil, zoom in, now the assumption is that this young lady has worn these shoes quite a bit. And again, guys, I want you to think about stuff like this. So her shoes are going to be darker, right? And probably a little bit scuffed. And then I'm going to take a gray, because I'm going to dingy them up a little bit. Now, this is a very, very light covering of gray. Don't go nuts with it. And then I'm going to put my brown back on top of it. Now listen to me. If you're putting a color on like this and you shade it with a gray to make it, for example, dingy, and you get too much gray on there, go back with your brown. Does that make sense? A lot of people think that once they color an area over, that's it. It's not. You're going to alternate between your colors and your shades. So I'm going to smooth this out before I even put my darker stuff on there. So we'll go ahead and follow pretty much what the author intended. See these little marks and scuffs and shades? And I'm going to pop in a little bit of gray just to muddy this up a little. And then I'm going to go back with gray, brown, excuse me. Okay. Zoom out. Isn't that cool? Zoom out. All right, one more play with this. So this is where in the process I would be looking at my whole piece and making any adjustments that I wanted to make, either with color or blending, you know, something like that. You know, on this dress, I left these little marks here. Which I'm perfectly happy with. I might take a little gray here. And shadow underneath this apron. See that? And a little bit under the basket. Thank you, Pearl. I'm glad you like it. Now, again, guys, I've got a style. You've got a style. I'm just showing you these different techniques. How you apply them is up to you. All right, see how I'm getting that shadow underneath here, underneath this basket. And underneath the apron. See, these are just now your little adjustments now that you want to make. Zoom in. I'm going to put a little bit of shadow underneath the cuff and blend it out. Now, initially I started with the darker gray, green, and I'm going back now and enhancing that with a little bit of gray. Everybody see that? And I'm going to put a little shadow underneath my ties. And we'll get a little bit of coloring here underneath the poof of the sleeve. Now, green is not going to work on that back part of the poof because I've got the dark gray. I'm sorry, the dark green. So I've got to use the gray in its place. Because remember when we talked about the shadows are not gray, that they're actually a darker version of the color that you're trying to shadow. Does that make sense? So in this case, when I have a very dark green, I'm going to go ahead and enhance with a little gray. And this is one of those things your brain sees it, not necessarily your eyes. Okay. Thank you, Rhonda. Rhonda says, funny how you can make a picture I don't like at first and make it beautiful, really. Zoom out. Okay. Now, in looking at this entire picture, I like it. I like it a lot. Darker up here, tend to be darker on the green. And then everything associated with the little girl, I'm making it lighter. Because she's goodness and light, and he's, you know, bad and death and everything that goes with it. So what I want to do is I want to make that wolf darker. Oh, excuse me for hitting the camera. zoom in. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a black pencil, and I want you to watch this closely. See how you're already seeing this darkening on the areas that I colored before. Everybody see how this top area now is starting to get darker and darker. Everybody see that? And I really hope that you can see it on this screen. So everywhere I have this shaded, I'm going ahead and being pretty liberal with my black. And I'm also streaking this black a little more. And just in general, coming in darker. I really hope you guys can see this. It looks a little wonky on my screen, so I'm not sure what you can see. And I need you to tell me how this looks and what you're seeing. Now, I've got a little red in here on the fur for blood, which is what I wanted. Now, if you're darkening an image like this, and you get some of your areas too dark, then just go ahead and lighten up your in-between stuff. And you can see right now how I'm creating more of a pattern on his head, for example. I mean, I would say almost scrubbing with my black pencil. And then what I'm doing is the areas that are lighter, I'm just lightly going over that with my black until I get a comparable shade with it. And what I also want you to notice, see how I'm making this line stark this way and stark this way. See, there's almost a V in there. I'm doing that for a purpose. You want this wolf angry and scary. So notice how I'm angling in lines. Angled lines like this indicate anger and dark and fear. Okay. So let me catch his ear. And notice here that I'm not going all black. I'm streaking it because that's visually more appealing. You just don't want just a black blob here. Okay. Let's go ahead and get the rest of this fur. Now again, these streaks indicate what? Anger, right? Do you see how I'm putting them in there? And then I'm lightly coloring over the rest of my areas here. Whoops. Let's see here. Got a little carried away. Let me find my eraser. Don't know where it is. I use this eraser. There we go. Okay, everybody see now how on this portion right here, I'm creating anger lines. See how I'm streaking it? Okay, and just a little bit more. We've got some black in here. Try not to go all black if you can help it. Now, if you see some areas while you're at it that need a little blending, which this does, I just want to blend my purple into my blue a little bit better. And then up to our black. Okay. So now we've got the area by her face. I've got to finish her face, by the way, real quick. Give me a moment for that as well. And see how I'm leaving a little bit of lighter gray in here so we just don't lose that into a black mush. Zoom out. What do you think now? Isn't that incredible? And I'm just going to smooth around this eye just a little bit, not much. You don't want to lose that. So now the question becomes, is the centerpiece on this Little Red Riding Hood, or is it the wolf? By the way, I'm going to angle this down a little bit. Watch how I close off this eye. Down to a point. Can you zoom in on the owl? Okay, sure. Zoom in. Zoom in. I'm just shading underneath his chest a little bit because that's the inside of the wing there. Is that close enough, Rhonda? Zoom out. Okay, let's get her face. Zoom in. Zoom in. So, two things for her on her face. Pointy head looked a little odd to you. Okay. I'm going to tap in some pink. So that means that I just took a water-based marker. And then if I can pull it off, this is going to be a miracle. My darker blue at the top. And then a lighter blue at the bottom. Look at that. Isn't that cool? And if you feel that you need to define the face just a little more, we can do that with our lighter brown. Rhonda, see how much better this face looks? When it's got that color definition on it. Okay, zoom out. Zoom out. Oh, saw something on the screen here. Blend that a little better. Zoom out. Zoom out. Okay, I'm calling this one done. Questions, comments? You like it, you don't like it. You learned something, you didn't learn something. Talk to me. I have no ego in this. Do you feel that you could do something like this based on what I've shown you? Now my napkin over the top is a little over blended. That happens, you get wax buildup. Do you like the wolf? I hate that squirrel. I just, bleh. All right, my next question is, now that I've shown you how to emphasize something like the wolf, everybody see how our trees are in the background because they're darker? We still have the darker greenery down here, and then we've got it getting, she is nice and light, goodness and light and that sort of thing. Does everybody see that play with lights and darks? I really want you to see that, guys. And I'd like you to consider that when you're coloring. What's light? What's dark? What do you want to emphasize? What don't you want to emphasize? So my question to you is, with somebody looking at this, are you emphasizing the wolf? Is this piece about the wolf, or is the piece about Little Red Riding Hood? And there's really no right answer to that. All right, guys, I hope you learned something. I hope that there were different aspects of this that intrigued you, gave you some ideas. Yeah, it's a combo. Mary says it's a combo pick. Yeah, it is. I mean, really, would you guys have thought of making this wolf as menacing as I did? With the holographic eyes, by the way. And the bloody teeth. All right, I'm going to call it an evening. I hope you learned something. I hope you had fun. Guys, joyous coloring. I enjoyed doing this project for you. And guys, please be kind to each other. We really need this in the world. All right, love you guys. I'm calling it an evening. Zoom in. Zoom in. I hope you had fun. All right, guys, take care. Bye.